Coaches, Rick Stewart of All Access Coaching. I'm really excited to bring you this free video, and make sure you hit the subscribe and like button down below. It gives us valuable data as far as what coaches want. And also, if I can get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll start doing weekly YouTube clinics for free. And if you hit the like and subscribe button, you'll get notified when we upload new content. We're uploading 3 or 4 videos every week.
We start with the end in mind. Okay, now we're going to get into throwing mechanics here and dive in. Number one trait we look for in a quarterback: leadership. You know, John Maxwell talks about everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And so we want the kid that everyone gravitates to. And again, if that's the halfback, the wide receiver, whoever it is, it's the kid that everyone wants to play for, right? It's the kid that his actions are more than his words. And I don't care if he has words or not. His actions speak, and it helps if he's got words, but his actions really speak, and he's a hard worker. You know, if your best players are your hardest workers, and one of those kids is your quarterback, then you're going to have a chance to be successful. We like mental and physical toughness. Again, we like toughness. We like our quarterback to be able to run. You know, people ask us about our offense, and, you know, it's not a wildcat type of thing, but it is from the standpoint of our quarterback might as well be a running back. Our quarterback oftentimes might go to college to play receiver or DB or some other position. We need him to be intelligent. Okay, we got to, and I don't mean like necessarily 4.0 student, but he's got to be a savvy football player and understand space and those types of things. And we've got to be able to dialogue, right? As a coach and a play caller, we spend a lot of time together. He's got to be able to dialogue with me and figure out. We meet on Tuesday night, we do game planning stuff, and I give him my thoughts. And on Wednesday night for dinner during the season, we meet and he gives me his thoughts. And then Thursday we come back and finalize the game plan. So there's a night in the week where he just tells me, this is what I want to do. This is why I like this play over this play. I like this adjustment. And so you want those guys that can talk football with you. I like them to be super competitive. Who wants the ball last, right? I want to be competitive. I want them to want the football. As we noted, I want athletic ability and escapability, poise in and around the pocket, and then accuracy with the football, and then a quality throwing motion, okay, that I think just makes you efficient. And I think arm strength, you know, the kid on the bottom of the screen here in 2018 threw for 3,000 yards, ran for 600 yards. We were a top 5 team in the state at any classification, and he stands 5'4", 145 pounds. And he could throw the ball maybe 40 yards. But again, he threw for nearly 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, just through having a quality throwing motion, being accurate, because you can work your scheme around anything. And what I like about our offense, selfishly, is that while I look for all these traits, we don't always have all 8 of these traits, and the offense can morph, right? If we can't throw, you know, accurate, or we don't have receivers that can stretch the field, then you can shrink right back to the wing tee, and then maybe you add some of those counters that I talked about. You know, if we've got a lot of wide receivers and not as good at running backs, and our quarterback can sling it and run, then you're going to spread them out and run more triple option, uncovered receiver, give pull stuff. If your quarterback is more like the one I have now, we're going to do more second and third level RPOs, because he's not necessarily a runner. So he's a willing runner, but he's not an explosive runner. So now we're going to throw more glance routes and bang routes and things like that with him. So you can the offense has its core, but then it can kind of move. The reality is, though, we have to train him as a quarterback still, and we have to teach him how to throw the football, you know, with efficiency. Throwing mechanics. 5 categories for me to be efficient. And again, this is just me. By no means an expert or a guru, but I have been involved in quarterback play as a player or a coach since I was 6 years old, as I played the position and studied the position. And now I've coached it for 20 years. Stance, ball grip, perfect start, and then kind of the separation, the actual throwing motion, and then a perfect stop. Okay, so those are kind of the categories that we're going to hit on as we move forward. So stance for us in our offense, okay, we use a balanced stance. And when we talk balance, we talk stable. We talk about being on our hips, which we'll hit on a little bit more later. But balanced stance, we want our feet even, usually slightly wider than shoulder width, like if you were going to shoot a free throw or something, as far as the width on your shoulders. We like our chest up. You've got to be able to see. We've got toes are slightly pigeon-toed, so you can burst out of there, right? We've got toes slightly pigeon-toed. And again, majority of the weight is on our drive foot. And again, we use a balanced stance and a lot of punch type steps, right? I know a lot of teams that you do pivot, you'll stagger your feet right or left and stuff. I feel like if you're a wing T team and you've got your right foot back, well, then you're not running a pivoting play to the left. You're running a pivoting play to the right. So I like balanced feet where we take then a pivot step, little punch step from that standpoint. But again, the majority of your weight's on your drive foot. We want to align our thumbs, and some of this is very basic. We want to align our thumbs in the natural grooves, right, on the ball. So there's a natural groove. If I'm a righty, there's these grooves in the thumbs that you want to hit. So we don't have our thumbs here. We just slide them in the grooves, and then we put pressure with our bottom hand, obviously. And again, this is super elementary stuff, but you put pressure with your bottom hand. And then when you say hut, there's a slight downward action with your hip. You slightly just sink your hips. That way your hands will stay in. If you're in a seated position and you sink your hips just a little bit, your hands will automatically go farther in. That way you're putting the emphasis off of the hands for the quarterback. You're just, hey, put pressure with your bottom hand. If you put pressure with your top hand, obviously you're going to create separation, right? You put pressure with your bottom hand, nice and firm. And then on the hut, you just teach them to sink their hips slowly. And that will put their hands in another inch or so, and will keep them from pulling out, okay? Then shotgun, we want a balanced stance as well. And again, you can see Jake here. I use Jake as my image guy because I never know what copyright laws or whatever are. So you can see a ton of pictures of Jake just because I know he won't sue me for using his images or whatever. But we're balanced, and then he's going to take a small punch step, and you can see there. But balanced, stable, ready to go, where you can field any kind of snap. Hands are up and ready to go. Feet are even. Or if you are staggered, we put our plant foot up. So if I'm a righty, my right foot is going to be up. We want our chest up. Weight is on the balls of our feet, kind of ready to go in case, again, the snap is awry, and then the hands are in catch position. So we've got to teach, a complete under center offense of how to take the ball and a complete way to take the ball shotgun, which again, I think is valuable for kids. And the ball grip gets talked about a lot. There are some variants. Everyone's going to be a little different, right? It's kind of like a snowflake. There are going to be differences, but I do think there's some things that are important, especially if you're working with a young quarterback. The fingers do need to spread naturally over the football, and the football needs to be the appropriate size also for the kid. If there's some of these things they can't do as they're fifth graders, sixth graders, seventh graders, then oftentimes it's that they're using a ball that's too big, and they'll develop some interesting habits on how they hold it, and to be honest, how they throw it. But your fingers are going to be spread naturally. Okay, you can see the fingers spread naturally across the football. The index finger is going to be somewhere up near the point, and then the thumb and the middle finger are going to extend below the ring on the football, right? Okay, so again, the thumb and the middle finger are going to be extended right below the ring of the football, kind of in that 1/3 section of the ball. The last two fingers, okay, your pinky and your ring finger, are going to be over the laces to the first joint. They're usually going to hit to about the fourth. If you got bigger hands, they'll be maybe the third notch. A normal hand might be the fourth notch, okay? But the last two fingers are over the laces. That kind of gives you the friction of the spiral. And then the air in the palm, no death grip, right? And you can see here, again, picture air in the palm. Don't want to squeeze it. If you squeeze it too, if the ball is in the palm and there isn't air, then that tip is already facing down. Okay, so that ball is going to drive down as opposed to having a natural upward tilt that then causes it to level as you throw it. So a lot of the times, just by lowering the thumb on the ball, you change that grip, and then you're changing the release trajectory of the ball. And rather than, again, if it takes off flat at first, then it's going to dive faster, as opposed to having a nice, easy upward tilt as you throw it. So again, air in the palm, and then you've got support hand on the lower half, okay, lower half of the ball, as far as the ball grip goes when you're in the pocket. Okay, and again, if you have any questions on any of this stuff, feel free to hit me up. All my contact stuff on there, but that's kind of ball grip. Perfect start. Okay, ball is held at the sternum, typically anywhere from 2 inches to 6 inches from the body. Okay, the key is we want to relax the shoulders and relax the jaw. Okay, you want to have elasticity in yourself. You don't want to be tense, right? Nothing tense ever moved quickly from that standpoint. And so you want to be relaxed. You want to have two hands on the football, and you want the wrist loaded, meaning your throwing wrist is already loaded or cocked. Okay, I'll use two different terms there, but it's cocked almost like a fighter. It's firm. Okay, so you've got two hands on the football. Your wrist is already cocked. Tip of the ball is slightly outward. And when you do that, really what it does is you feel a relaxation in your neck and your shoulders just by the slight out tip. Okay, if you tilt the tip in or straight down, you can feel yourself getting a little bit tighter in the shoulders. Okay, so tip of the ball slightly outward, and then your elbows are down with slight air pockets. Okay, pre-pass triangle is what we call that. Okay, so obviously here's your Here's your triangle here. But the big key, again, relax the shoulders and relax the jaw. Some coaches, they want to slide it slightly to the back pec, some right to the sternum. Okay. There's finer points to that stuff, but the number one thing I go back to is, are you relaxed at the shoulders and relaxed at the jaw? No different than a track runner, right? A track runner, you don't want to be tense and stuff like that. You want to be able to be relaxed. And so it's no different there. Okay. Our feet, when we talk perfect start with our feet are slightly wider than our hips. Okay. So here's our hips, obviously, and our feet are slightly wider than our hips. Jake's already kind of started his loading motion here, but you want his feet slightly wider than his shoulders. Your knees are over your heels. Okay. And that ensures the glutes are activated. That's where we're getting our power from, right? Our glutes and our hips and through our core. And so, if you think about a kid squatting, and we talk about being in your heels and your hips, if you lean forward, if you're in that athletic position, like you're playing basketball or going to shoot a free throw, and you lean forward and you put your knees over your toes, then your quads are absorbed. Okay. Your quads are going to be absorbed and your rear end's going to be kind of gushy. If you take your knees in that same stance and just slide them backwards so they're over your heels, then your rear end's going to firm up and you're going to activate the glutes. Okay. So you want your knees actually over your heels when you're in your stance. And that ensures that you're stable, that you're balanced, right? You got a balanced stance, but more than balance, you've got stability, right? We want to be stable when we're in there, because we can't have a perfect start and accelerate if we're not stable. So the back foot should be slightly turned inside, weight distribution favoring the inside of the back foot. And the front foot should be open a bit with less weight distribution, right? So we're kind of geared up 70-30. I don't know how you do percentages, but we're geared up here, just like if you were going to throw a punch, just like a baseball player at the plate, right? The mechanics of here, the initial throwing is much more like a baseball batter than it would be a baseball pitcher. So again, imagine a baseball hitter or boxer in a power position. Okay, so that's your perfect start.
Coaches, I really hope you got some great information from that YouTube video. Again, hit the subscribe and like button down below. It gives us valuable data. And if I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll do free YouTube clinics. And you also get notified when I'm doing those YouTube clinics and when I upload new content to this channel. Thanks for watching, coaches.